Welcome. I'm really looking forward to sharing this beautiful conversation I had with Delilah. I've had the pleasure of knowing Delilah for years, and she is a raw vegan fitness coach, life coach, and a wise, wise woman. Today, she sits with me and shares with you and I a lot of the things that she's learned through her many years navigating from being a go-go dancer in New York City and being on drugs, being in extremely traumatic childhood experiences, to thriving and inspiring so many people. So I hope you enjoy this as much as I did. If you're new to this channel, I just want to welcome you. And if not, welcome back. My name is Tumí. I am a dancer, poet, and a medical doctor. And I love on this channel sharing with you inspiration to live your most delicious and healthiest life. Let's get to the conversation with Delilah. Enjoy. Delilah, it is my pleasure to be in circle in conversation with you today. Thank you for being here with me.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime. For you, anything, sis.
I want to start with that. I think we go
Mhm.
we go back a ways, and I remember being introduced to you through your sister, your beautiful sister, who reached out to me around my work, around my dance, and around fibroids, and then we got connected. But for anyone who may not know a little bit about your story or a lot about your story, can we
Mhm.
start? For me, stories are always medicine for one another,
Yes.
And so if you would be open to sharing a little bit about your story that took you on this path to where you are now
Mm.
as a vibrant, beautiful fitness coach serving so many women and people in their well-being. Can you share a little bit about that?
Of course. Well, as you know, I grew up in a church, very religious family, Pentecostal. Um, the situation is my mother being a minister, and we as in the church never really had any place to voice our feelings. We were God's children. So a lot of questions I had, I kept to myself. And even the food that we were eating, I was watching people get heart attacks in the church and pass out during the Holy Spirit. So as growing up, a child my mother had me at 14 by an older man that she met on the street that was married. So he took her into a building and I was here. So he just got it and we left. She never saw him again. Now she was gonna have an abortion. She was at the abortion clinic because she didn't know what to do, the situation. She didn't even know the man's name. So if you look at my birth certificate, father unknown. So with that being said, she was at the abortion clinic. She was going to have abortion, but somebody talked her out of it, pulled her and had a conversation with her. And she decided not to. Plus, my grandmother wanted me. My grandmother really, even though my grandmother was mentally unstable, she was in and out of Bellevue.
Mm.
I do remember. She had enough faculties to want me. She had enough. So that was the beginning of my story. And even growing up with a parent on welfare at 14 years old, so you could just imagine what I was eating. Block government cheese, food stamps we were getting. So we would get like processed food, a lot of processed food. I had a problem in school with my thought process. I was very slow. I think it was ADHD. I was very slow. I was very shut down. I was scared of people. I didn't know how to communicate with people. I used to pee in my pants in school and people used to tease me. And plus we were poor, so I used to tape up my shoes. And I stunk. I had a stench and I didn't know how to bathe myself really because my mother being 14, my grandmother in and out of a mental institution. I was pretty much trying to fill in the blanks myself as a child. So then my mother had more babies with different fathers. So I really was confused and I was angry because nobody was there for me. So, and my father didn't want me. That's because when my mother had the moment with him, she never wanted to talk about him. I used to ask her, well, mommy, who's my daddy? Why didn't he come for me? She would slap me in the face and say, I don't want to talk about that. I'm here for you. Don't be ungrateful.
Mm.
You have food on the table, eat it, and be grateful. Because I could have put you in a home or had an abortion. Constantly, that was her thing. When she felt uncomfortable, she would weaponize it. So it was very challenging dealing with that. And so as I grew up, I was so withdrawn from social settings, and then I was ethnic looking. I had big lips and a broad nose. I was always called ugly and you stink and you African. You go back to Africa with your banana. So it was a lot. It was constant punch, punch. So uh, it was very difficult. And even thinking about it, it chokes me
Mm,
right now because I'm thinking about that poor child
yeah.
and what she went through. I could, and I had to protect myself. I had to cut myself off from her because I didn't want to keep carrying that story because it was affecting me mentally.
Mm,
So I didn't know how to process that. So I just moved her out the way and locked her in a cage. And now I've come back to heal because then I went to therapy later. But it was very challenging. So the food for me, eating processed food, that's all I knew. That's all I knew. I only knew that. And even becoming a teenager, I didn't really eat that much food as far as eating at home. We had a lot of White Castles, McDonald's. And if we did eat, it was biscuit from a box, and the government gave us block cheese, and everything in when my mother went shopping was processed. It was even the beans was in a can. We had frozen corn and peas in a can. So I had issues with thinking. My brain was not processing information, and I didn't get help with homework. So one of my teachers felt sorry for me, and she took me to buy clothes because she felt sorry. She felt sorry for
yeah.
me. So she took me to the store, bought me like 5 outfits, and she cleaned me up and she talked to me. She spent time after school about hygiene, and she spent time, explaining things to me. And I want to say thank you to all of the teachers in the world. They should be getting paid what Zuckerberg and all of them should get paid, because if all of the teachers, blessings, blessings. Listen, I want to say to the teachers out there, your paycheck may not be what you would like it to be, but we appreciate you have me, and I thank you. So,
Delilah, let's just take a moment. Oh,
so
you're already giving medicine to us. Yes. I don't want to interrupt you, but just take your time. And I know people are just, it's landing, no matter what their background. We people have trauma in their childhood. And for you sharing your story so openly already, thank you.
so with that being said, I spent a lot of time in pain. So much so that I tried to commit suicide 3 times, and I wasn't even good at that. So it was trauma, being called ugly, black, oh, your welfare, and it took a lot. So I finally met people that was different. I used to hang out in the village in New York, and I had a mohawk because I was just not part of society. So I went on the outskirts of society, slam dancing, mohawk. Um, I did into get into the drug scene as well, ecstasy, alcohol, marijuana. So I was just like, and at that particular point, I didn't see a future for me.
Mm.
I didn't see how I fit into things. And these people accepted me. We could get high and talk and laugh, and we had each other. I was looking for community, and that's the only community that received me. And it was black, white, gay, straight. It was the misfits that took me and loved me. So I am forever grateful to the misfits because I myself was one of them, and still to this day.
Yeah.
So it was very challenging. So I started to date, and people started to say, hey, cool. And I started to feel connected to other people because I've never really felt connected. So I started hanging out. I was in high school. I got good grades. I mean, I always read and I get good grades. I didn't go to school all the time because I was so busy in the Lower East Side in the village of New York. And I was hanging out and doing drugs. I was doing drugs, ecstasy, cocaine. I was sniffing. It was a club in New York called Danceteria. You know, if you're young, older men would say, "Come and do a shot, a blow with me in the bathroom." So I was like, you know, a go-go dancer, and I was just doing my thing in New York. You know, a lot of stuff, not too proud, but looking to pay bills. I didn't know how to get a job. Nobody would hire me because I had a mohawk and it was purple. Sometimes it was orange, so nobody hired you. So you had to go. And I worked in a nightlife at Limelight Danceteria, and I started slam dancing, and people hired me as a go-go dancer, and I did it and got paid. And as I got older, I realized that this situation was coming to a head because a lot of the other people I was hanging out with, they had money,
Mm-hmm.
like they were trust fund kids. So I would go to the Hamptons. So I got exposed to different things. I went to Spain where somebody paid for my ticket. So I was just riding with people. So I started picking up on different things and how I want my life to be as I get older, because a lot of them, their parents had businesses. I've never been exposed to that. And a lot of them, even now, they end up taking over their parents' business. So I got exposed to money, like a lot of money, even to get the drugs and stuff like that. They had money, they could buy blow, and we could sniff all day long, you know. And I had a friend on Upper West Side, a Park Avenue area, 80th and Park Avenue. I used to sleep there. So I used to live on Park Avenue. I was like, wow, I made it, you know, Park Avenue. Ooh. So I still eating processed food. Some days I'm not eating anything, just drinking alcohol, getting high, blacking out. And then I realized that a lot of them were going into rehab because the parents were picking them up. And so I decided to change at that point and to clean myself up. I couldn't afford rehab. So I had to rehab myself, and I ended up getting accepted to Pratt Institute in college. This is where the transformation took place because I was so good with art, because I used to do graffiti and I was an artist. I made quilts and everything. So I had a skill. And so I went to art school, graduated from Pratt Institute. Then I started changing. I became a vegetarian.
Mm.
In college, I became a vegetarian because I met some people who were explaining to me about meat and the energy of meat and the killing. And then I was like, wow, that's not cool. So I had this point had stopped drinking. I had a therapist that was on a sliding scale, and she helped me through a lot of things. I saw her for about 15 years, and she helped get me through my self-hate. She helped get me through it. Helped me with my belief system. She helped me with my cognitive distortions of reality. That was how I saw the world. I needed to shift that in order for me to evolve to be who I am. So I started to really get a second chance on life, because then I started valuing life, because now I want to live, because it's so much out there that I want to explore now that I'm in a different phase of my life. So I graduated from college, got an apartment, worked at Macy's, became an assistant buyer at Macy's because I got my bachelor's of fine arts because I majored in fashion merchandising, and I got that. Then I started doing jewelry, and jewelry was something that I loved, but I couldn't sustain it as far as financially. But while I was at Macy's, I was putting on a lot of weight because I was vegetarian, but I was eating a lot of processed vegetarian food. So I was getting bigger and bigger, eating soy burgers. And I was vegetarian, but I wasn't eating vegetables. I'm gonna be straight up. I was eating soy, potatoes, a lot of potatoes, French fries, a lot of cake, cookies, and ice cream, soy ice cream. So I was bloated. I was bloated. I was bloated. I couldn't even, I didn't even have the energy to move. Even I was eating vegetarian food. I wasn't killing animals, but I was so unhealthy as a vegetarian. So unhealthy. My body was just overweight. I think I was at my heaviest when I was a vegetarian. And it's not until I joined the gym, because I'm in the fashion industry. I'm a assistant buyer. I can't walk around. You know, it's a certain image you have to portray. If you're going to keep your job, you have to look a certain way. So went to a gym. I started working out. I hired a fitness trainer, and he helped me sculpt my body. And I was so in love with the body, but also the process that I was able to see myself for the first time as beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, you are a beautiful woman. look at you. My God, you look so good. Like, and I was so happy because, and then I was lifting weights. I was stronger. I got stronger. I could see the growth. My body started changing. And I was like, I got this.
Mm.
I got this. Then I started exploring into other things, and even with the food, vegetarian. I started eating more vegetables at this point because I realized nutrition component was very important. And then still eating the fried fast, but shifting to eat more greens, more chlorophyll. I was getting more of the minerals in the food because I was eating everything cooked so much. A lot of the salads were raw, it wasn't cooked or anything. So I started gravitating, not knowing about raw vegan. I was just feeling in my body how it started feeling more alive, even with my elimination. When I was vegetarian, I was congested because I was eating a lot of bread. I was constipated, constantly constipated. And when I started eating more salads and I replaced a lot of the bread with salad or lettuce and stuff, my body started feeling energized. I started feeling energized. My skin had a shine to it. So it was a transformation. And as I started to understand what was happening, I started to be able to share with my family. I started feeling comfortable, and they were like, "Oh, don't bring that food around us because you look like a crackhead." You look like a crackhead. We like you the way you was before.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, I was unhealthy before. No,
Mhm.
you had some sick weight on you, but you look like a crackhead. You're too skinny now. And don't bring that white people food over here, that bird food. We don't eat that. Then they stopped inviting me for the holidays because they didn't like the they didn't like the food, so I didn't get the invitation, and that's cool. At this particular point, I understood it was painful, but they were not happy. And the thing is that I wasn't judging them. I wasn't coming in there saying, well, you shouldn't eat this, you're diabetes, because my mother had diabetes. Her blood sugar was 600. She felt collapse on the street. And I didn't come in here judging them when I brought it. I just brought it. Plus, I wanted something to eat when they were eating. So I brought enough for everybody, and they didn't even touch it. So I ended up eating it and just hanging out with them. But it made them uncomfortable. They felt uncomfortable, and they was like, well, mommy made the upside down cake. You used to really like that when you was a kid, and now you're being disrespectful to her. She's feeling away. And I was like, well, can you just respect my feelings that I don't want to eat that, and I'm here to support the family that I showed up. Yeah, but that's still disrespectful. You know how mommy is, and you just hurting her feelings. I was like, listen, we don't have to do this. Yeah, that's what and that was my last invitation to Thanksgiving. Now I'm invited because now they understand, and a lot of them are transitioning into vegetarian. So it took over, God, how many years? About 15, 16 years for that to take place. So it was evolution. It was a process. So it was a lot that led me to this journey, but my biggest claim to fame, even with the fitness and stuff, was the raw vegan lifestyle.
Mm.
It was amazing. I gotta say, how did I get it? I watched David Wolf, Matt Monarch, and I used to idolize them. I was like, wow, look at David go, David. And I used to watch them on the YouTube channels and even Doug Graham 20 80 20. And I was like, wow, this is it right here. This is it. This is it. And they used to all meet together sometimes. And I used to say, one of these days, I'm going to be with Doug Graham. I'm going to be hanging out with David Wolf and all of the crew. And things happen, people change, so they changed, and I'm here, and they're doing their thing. But that was my as far as opening the door to the raw vegan lifestyle. That was it for me. I idolized them. I used to run to watch the YouTube channel. Anytime they did a new video, I was there. So so that helped me out. A lot of the recipes I had to add my little Caribbean, like the spices to it. I had to add the curry. I had to add the curry and
The
all my
flavor.
Caribbean. Yes, I had to I had to put my foot in it. Hey, you know. So I had to put me in it, and that's where my recipes come from. It comes from me expressing myself through my culinary skills. And so that's why I have the recipe book and everything out that's doing pretty decent. That's doing good. So for me, now that I'm at a place where I don't have to go on a diet. That's one of the things that was really challenging, especially as a woman. Now that I'm going through menopause, one of the things that I'm so glad that I did it at the right time was that I don't have to struggle with menopause. What do I mean by that, Dolly? Nice question. What it means is that I don't have to fight my body. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to be mad that I'm putting on weight because I actually lost weight when I went through menopause because of the lifestyle and the nutrients that I'm putting in it and the life energy for years. I'm just getting the residuals of the investment. That's all it is. It's really what you are, what you eat. So for me and I'm so glad that it came at that time because I'm so glad and I was open to receive the message and to go that route. So for me, when I went raw at the right time, so I can reap the benefits of my body now, because people always ask me, "Hey, Delilah, you look fabulous, darling.
Yes.
You look, girl, you look good at 59, and you still got muscle and all this other stuff. How you doing it? How you doing it?" Plus, I was raw and I was exercising because one of the things that get me about the raw, I love it. Mwah, chef's kiss. But when I first went into it, why I was scared to go into it at one point is because I used to see a lot of them ate the raw foods, but they wasn't. And I knew about the human anatomy being a trainer, and I knew about bone density, and I knew about sarcopenia as you age. I didn't want that to happen to me, so I kept exercising even though I was raw. And I love yoga. I think yoga is fabulous. But for me as a trainer, there's three components to fitness. There's the flexibility, the cardiovascular, and the resistance training. Now, yoga is great, but as you start to age, the bone density and you need resistance training to get you through. Even as I age, to carry groceries up the stairs at 80, 90, 100 years old, where my hip, I'm not getting a hip replacement. And I also do an exercise on my Bosu ball where I'm doing balance on one leg with the Bosu ball because as we age, we start to lose balance and people start falling all over the place, just falling, you know? So I, as a trainer, having the home court advantage and now going through menopause, also what saved me with menopause was the raw vegan lifestyle, but also resistance training. It saved my bone density because a lot of people had that kyphosis and lordosis where they look like the hunchback of Notre Dame. No disrespect intended, love. Respect, respect. But I looked at it and I looked at the spine and I took all of that into consideration. So what I have a tendency to do is work in reverse. I say to myself, because I'm going to be 100, how do I want that to look? So I'm going to work on that now. So when I do get to that point, I'm already there and I'm looking exactly the way I have designed my body to look. So I'm taking full responsibility of my health package, which is me doing the work. And I don't plan on being in a nursing home. So I plan on being independent even as I transition out of this body. I'm going to be that girl. That's going to be me. so so with the menopause, people always talk about some of the symptoms, and I get this a lot. The dryness, the irritable, the as far as the not the heat flashes. Now, I want to make this distinctively clear. I do get the heat flashes, but once a month. So I'm 59 now. It started when I was 50. I had the perimenopause. So perimenopause, we know, is that in order for you to go through menopause, you have to have not had a cycle in 12 months. And if you're still having a cycle, that's peri. But after the one, like when I hit 50, it was 12 months. At 49, all the way to 50, I didn't have a cycle. It was gone. So I realized I was going through menopause. And with the menopause, I got heat flashes every now and then, but not so bad. Not so bad. I see people have facial hair and it's a lot going on. So for me, the only symptom that I'm getting was the once a month heat flashes of that. And I did not gain weight. I actually lost 10 pounds. So it has been a blessing to me, and I get my water from the food. I still drink, do my juices, and I do my raw food, and I do my exercising, but exercising raw food and also having a peace of mind. Now, I want to tell you, there is no way in heck that I could sit here and tell you the story that I told you without having that emotional carriage. But back in the days, it left me in a coma where once I started talking about it, I used to get traumatized and I used to just pass out. So I'm at a place of peace and growth because my mental state, and I check on my mental state a lot. And I meditate and I do all my breath works because that's important. So my mental, physical, and spiritual health is in alignment. And I think a lot of times with us, we do one part of it or two, but we don't do the package. It's holistic. It's a holistic way of living. And with that being said, if it wasn't for my mental and if it wasn't for my physical body and what I put in my body, I would not be the person that I am today, where I feel like I'm 21. I do. I feel like at this point in my life, that if I look back in hindsight, one, I wasn't very healthy. I was overweight and I was constantly depressed and I wasn't able to communicate and love myself. I did not love myself. At this particular point, I love myself. I can communicate and articulate what I'm going through. I can share it. And why I do what I do is to hope that this interview will uplift somebody, because it's not about me. It's for me to leave the breadcrumbs or leave little traces that I was here, but also that you're not alone, that you are not alone. Because there's somebody that's going to look like me, sound like me, and not have come from a certain background that's not going to feel worthy. So the why I did this interview and why I do the interviews is so someone can see themselves in me and feel valued, that, okay, she went through it and look at her now and I could do it too. So I'm hoping that this resonates for somebody who have lost their way. Yes.
Medicine, 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 medicine. Your words, but more than your words, the energy behind the words, the openness of your heart to share the story. You taking, and I'm going to use this word, dung, caca, as they say here, and making that into fertile soil to be the incredible leader and healer that you are. It's inspiration in itself, Delilah. And that it's so funny because what I wanted to talk to you about today was you just went through them. Like it was like a hurry. You just got it and wove it into art. The menopause, the fitness, the raw, and how they all are symbiotically combined. You just gave that so beautifully in your own story. It's just like, okay, mic drop. I do want to say a couple of things and ask you a couple of questions to tease some things apart, but I don't want to gloss over the gold, the medicine you just gave. So, moment just to say thank you for that. Thank you. I don't know if you know this, but I did my residency in Bellevue. When I was, I went to a great medical school, and there was one residency program I wanted to do. I wanted to work in the oldest public hospital in this country that took care of immigrants, homeless people, and people who were deemed crazy. And that was Bellevue Hospital. So I chose one place, and that was NYU, and I was accepted, and I did my residency. So I was a Bellevue. I know Bellevue in and out. And so I just get goosebumps because our stories intertwine already that way. And I used to live in the Lower East Side and walk to Bellevue as a young doctor, as a resident every day. So I know.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Oh,
okay,
yes.
so
I know.
You know Tompkins Square Park.
Every Sunday I was in Tompkins. So I say all this to say is, I don't think of anything as coincidental. And I feel like, in New York, I used to say New York gave me my backbone. I say like there's no, but to have that and then to find the balance of your heart, I feel like you have done that so beautifully. And one of the things I would love to tease apart now is you're here now. Maybe for people who are hearing this and they're so inspired, they say, look, I want to do like Delilah. I want to eat more raw. Maybe I'm not there yet, but more living foods. Can you walk us through your day in terms of, I want to be very specific,
Mm-hmm.
what your training for yourself looks like, and also what are you eating? Because one of the things as a physician I see is people
Mm-hmm.
have this kind of disconnection between fitness and getting the size and the butt and the pecs that they
Mm-hmm.
want, and how
Mm-hmm.
they're fueling themselves as in food to get that. And what studies are showing is that
Mm-hmm.
if you exercise and then you recover through good fuel, i.e., living
Mm-hmm.
fruits and vegetables, your
Mm-hmm.
recovery time is cut down. So you can get back to
Mm.
the gym or get back
Right.
outdoors and get
Mm-hmm.
stronger. You don't have to take 3 days to recover. So
No.
talk
Mm-mm.
a little bit about the flow of your day and how those two things intertwine, what you eat and how you move.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I was first started this journey, I was much more muscular. And now that I'm getting older, it's a different story. But when I first got into it, and I was because I was also competing bodybuilding and all this other, I used to first thing I would do is have some water and lemon just to clean out my system. That's the first thing I would do. And I would go into my meditation just to get my head together. So I wanted to purge and cleanse and clean out because when you're sleeping, your body's fasting, you're, clean. So the first breakfast was for me was water and lemon. I would squeeze that and then I would just kind of do my thing. Then the second one I would do every 3 hours. I would have a breakfast that would consist of like either chia seeds with a porridge chia seeds to get my omega 3s. And I would have, a big bowl of fruit and a chia seed. So it would be like a big fruit bowl type of thing with chia seeds on the bottom. So I would eat that. And then for lunch, I would have like a shake with hemp seeds in it for my protein. And then I would eat like a banana smoothie with hemp seeds in it. And now I'm not so big on so much supplements type of thing. I know for me, I know that sounds weird, but I'll do the hemp seeds and I'll make my homemade peanut butter, raw vegan peanut butter, and I'll put some peanut butter in there. And I'll just have that with some coconut water. And the bananas are frozen, so I like my smoothies frozen. So I'll have that like a peanut banana smoothie for my lunch. And then for dinner, I'll have lentils, a big thing of lentils with some greens, and then I'll have a little bit coconut. So what I do with the coconut is that I take the thing and I shred it up. Like there's a little crank up thing, and I'll shred it and I'll season it like instead of peas and rice, it's the coconut that's been shredded and then it looks like rice, and then I'll mix it with some lentils, some soaked lentils that has a tail. And I'll put some kale in there and just smooth it out like that. And I'll season it with some spices, some sea salt, and put a little lemon on it. And then I'll have on the side of the plate, I'll have some seaweed. As far as when you make sushi, I'll have the seaweed, the square seaweed thing.
The
You know what
nori.
I'm talking
Uh-huh.
about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the nori thing. So the nori thing, the rice and peas with the kale in it, and then I'll have a huge salad in the center. So my bowl is about this big, and I'll eat that, and I'll eat 3 hours before I go to bed because I don't want to sleep with food on my gut. And then I'll go to bed, and that's what I would have, something like that. Because even with the nori, I would take the nori, make like a sushi out of it. I take the nori sheet, put the coconut, like the rice and peas coconut thing which is the lentils sprouted, and I'll put some of the greens in there and maybe an avocado, and then I'll roll it up and just have it like that. So my food is pretty. I'll have like three of those and another, and still could eat the salad. So I eat a lot of greens. I eat a lot of chlorophyll. I have a palate for savory more than sweet. I used to have when I was younger, in my 20s. I used to fiend for sweet, 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 sweet. But now since I hit 50, more savory, so more greens, more bok choy, more even cilantro I put in there to remove heavy metals. So it's like an alchemy salad. It's like a salad that and I'll use certain herbs and stuff like that in my salad because I know what it does to my body. So I'm getting my medicine in my food. And then I'll go to sleep and I'll get up. And like you said, when I eat like that, I'm getting the fiber. Another thing is going to the bathroom, elimination. I find a lot of people, and I did it when I was a bodybuilder with the baked chicken and the egg whites and stuff. No salad. I find when I was doing the bodybuilding thing back then, I was more constipated. I was bloated. I was bigger because I had a lot of inflammation and a lot of waste. I wasn't going to the bathroom enough at that stage. I really wasn't because I was eating like the actual bodybuilder thing was a baked potato, some half a chicken, rotisserie chicken, and some broccoli or some greens that was cooked to death. So I wasn't getting enough fiber to go to the bathroom, and I was constantly constipated. And so it wasn't healthy. But with this, at the raw vegan lifestyle, what I'm eating, the elimination is great. So I'm my stomach, I don't have to be breaking my neck to get a six pack because I'm not carrying a lot of inflammation and waste because the waste is, my lymphatic system. I'll do my exercise on the trampoline. So everything is working in perfect alignment. And also having that knowledge base where I know what needs to be done so I could actually, heal my body with the food and with movement. So and what I would say to somebody who wants to start out, especially my age, 59, get a trampoline. And even if, because a lot of times women don't feel comfortable at the gym, they feel so self-conscious about their body, which I don't know why. But anyway, it's a personal thing. It's not about me. But I would say get a trampoline and start off with your lymphatic system. Start off just moving because the lymphatic system right here it removes waste out of the body. And a lot of times people have a lot of fecal matter. They have a lot of waste that's not moving. And that's why a lot of times it gets reabsorbed into the blood system. And that's why you have a lot of problems because it's just a toxic cocktail in there and it's just not conducive to your health, just little things like that.
The rebounder and trampoline is probably the number one thing I recommend to my beautiful women that I work with because for the reasons lymphatic, also for the knees, for the joints. If you've been working your joints all your life, you're having arthritis now, you don't have that issue with the rebounder or the trampoline. And it's amazing for the
Oh, it's
pelvis,
beautiful.
for the pelvic,
It's
for the,
beautiful.
it's a
Yeah.
pelvic floor strengthener. So I love
Hmm.
that you mentioned that. Can you now weave in I know every day might be different, but tell me how you're moving throughout the day. Because also some people will say, okay, my gym time is at 5 a.m. or it's at 5 p.m. It's like a 20-minute thing, and then the rest of the day they're sedentary. Not everyone, but I have a feeling you're not that. So can you weave in how your day looks like in terms of movement? I have
Yes.
found kind of with being raw also, or just I'll just say healthy and eating more living foods, that I can do my 2 hour dance rehearsal, then go eat. Then because I'm not bloated or constipated, 30 minutes later I can go run with my 6 year old, my five and a half
Hmm.
year old, or go for a hike. Like I don't have to
Hmm.
squeeze in the exercise because of
Hmm.
the way I'm eating, because the eating I'm doing is going to want me to not move
Hmm.
anymore.
hmm
So, can you
hmm
share a little bit about that and how you weave in your training or movement with your food?
Good question. Thank you. Well, for me, I ride my bicycle. I ride everywhere I go. So even when I was in New York in the wintertime, I
Mhm.
would ride for miles from Brooklyn to get to Manhattan. And I worked on Reebok. I worked at by Lincoln Center. So I would ride my bicycle every day from Brooklyn to Lincoln Center. I would ride my bicycles. And a lot of times I was on a budget. So I used to go to Chinatown to get my food, my vegetables and my fruit because it was cheaper and loaded up on my bike. So my thing is that, and I still ride my bicycle. So, and I work in the garden. So I'm in the garden, working in the garden, squatting, picking up, hand movement, moving my torso and different planes. Like we got the sagittal, the transversal plane. So I'm moving at different states so I'm not just staying in one frontal plane. So I'm doing many things and with my body and I'm also working certain muscles that we don't the serratus and stuff like that. I'm not just going to the gym just doing this and no, I'm doing functional training. It's for real life. I'm also when I'm getting down, I'm balancing on one leg to lift something up and just, so it to me it's a plethora of things. And also you should be changing your workout. If you're just doing at the gym, you should be changing your workout every 6 weeks because you plateau. And a lot of times as we age, you could be doing resistance training with balance and also there's functional trainings because the exercise industry is so broad because we are so multi our body it has so many layers to it and so many angles that a lot of time we become so one dimensional and we use that bodybuilding mentality. Now that's great, Don't get me wrong, but it's always good to switch up. Okay, I'll do this for 6 weeks, and then I'll do balancing for 6 weeks, and then I'll do functional training, like where you're going up and down the stairs, or you're on a step box, you're going up and down, you're activating the leg. When you lift it off the floor, you're balancing to place it down, and then you're coming back down, because people are losing their balance. They're not activating. If you don't use it, you lose it. And this is what's happening. People become so complacent. Even little things of just going for a walk and getting a trampoline, starting off that way. Why I say that is because you leave room for that, because now when you start exercising and you've been doing it for about 6 months, that time niche that you were doing those exercises, now you can evolve and get other exercise. Let me do balancing, because my hip has been acting a little strange and I'm a little stiff. Let me do something for my lower back. Let me do some stretches on the ball. That round ball, when you just open up the sternum and activate the sternum, open up so you can align the spine. There's certain mobility, stability exercises. It's not just about always lifting weights. There's other body exercises that you can do, and you don't even have to be a member of a gym. You don't even need any weights, because with my clients, when I start up with them, I don't want them to have any weights, because also a lot of times people's biomechanic, their body, when they're doing squats, their proper form is, I'm a stickler for proper form, because when you start loading up with weights, if you don't have the foundation proper, correct, you are going to tear yourself. You're going to injure yourself. And that defeats the purpose of working out. You want to be in a safety zone. If you have to take the weights down, and I have a lot of clients that are men, and it's an ego thing. It's that alpha male syndrome. They see another man doing it, they want to do it. And I'm like, dude, it's not that time right now. His form is off. Let's get you on the ground floor before you get to the roof. So it's really about being a stickler for form. Also, the breath work, how people are breathing, how they're taking in oxygen, because people are not breathing enough, and their lung capacity is not receiving the oxygen. They're breathing short. You know what I mean? So they're not taking in the body, the VO2 max, they're not taking in enough and really absorbing it and letting the body and the cells do its thing, because we are such creatures of habits, and we are such multitasking. We're not even present. So we're doing exercise, but we're thinking I got to get out of here. So you're not really here. So when I do my exercises, baby, I'm present. I'm like a surgeon, because I'm going inside. I'm asking myself, what are you doing today? What muscle are you working? Align your mind, body, and soul. And you should only be thinking about that one exercise. When you do it, you should do it in the present moment. That's my success, because there's people who do the exercises, but if you're not present in your body, where you're like a surgeon, where you're saying, okay, I'm supposed to be feeling it here, but I'm not feeling it there. So you have to go in and you have to align yourself and you have to activate those muscles. And it's a mind body connection. It's very spiritual when you exercise. It's a connection, because you're with the source and you're
Mm.
having that conversation, that internal conversation with your body. You're not beating up on yourself. You're actually really having a relationship, and you're being in the now. And your body appreciates that. And you know what it does? It responds, because she's giving me love. And that's what I need. Give it the love. Don't beat up on it. And that's the thing when people go to fitness. They go into fitness to get the six pack. And they don't understand and listen to their body, because sometimes your body says, I want to rest today. Let's just do yoga and let's just play. I want to have a play date. I just want to roll around and dance and have fun. And some people think, oh, that's not a workout. It's life, baby. It's movement. Movement is life. And that's what I wish people had a different relationship with movement, because I think if, and even with the fitness, I think if people had a different interpretation and even reframing the linguistics, the language, they would be more interested in partaking in that, because it's not a threat
Yes.
and they don't have to beat up on it. So
Yes.
because people right now are mentally depressed, they're stressed, and they don't need anything else to stress them out. Working out to me is like making love. It's like every time I leave, I had an orgasm. I'm like, ooh, that was a good one. I'm looking forward to the next. Mm.
Uh, Oh, oh, that just made my heart sing. And you know what? It's such a beautiful testament to what science honestly has shown, which is that if you're stressed out about something, right, you increase too much cortisol, and then
Exactly.
and then what happens? Your gut health goes, and not only that,
Hmm.
hormonal balance goes off. You start getting estrogen
Exactly.
dominance. You start getting issues with pelvic health. So you're just tying
Exactly.
this so beautifully. And it's so interesting hearing your story because I remember when you started telling your story, you talked about actually before Raw, how the
Hmm.
fitness journey part, how you started working out, and that's when you saw your beauty for the first time.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
I love that the fitness has always been actually a portal into deeper self-love for you. And I think there are going to be people who say, "Oh, wow, like I can lift and feel orgasmic." Yes. Like,
Yeah, it's an
yes,
orgasmic experience.
so
It
beautiful,
feels it.
Delilah.
It's so
So beautiful.
and the way you mentioned the estrogen, because a lot of times people always say, "Hey, Delilah, I'm working out, but I'm putting on weight." You're
Mhm.
putting on weight because of you're stressing it. The cortisone. You're basically working against yourself. You are working against yourself. Even the way when you work out and you feel stressed, like I gotta work out. I don't want to work out. I don't want to do it. That vibration, your body picks up on that. And what it does, because it's trying to appease you, it's trying to make life palatable for you. When you come in with that attitude, it's all about the attitude. When you come in with that attitude, you get what you put out into the universe. Live with that. You're the creator of your reality. In every aspect of your life, everything is connected. So you are creating your reality by the words that come out your mouth. It shall be done. Your wish is my command. So be very mindful of your thoughts.
And your words. You said that beautifully. The
Yes.
words. In my
Mm-hmm.
book, Delicious Healing, I have a chapter on exercise. I don't call it exercise. I don't call it working out. I called it movement play for that exact
Mm-hmm.
reason, because people can have very traumatic ideas of working out or exercise. If you don't, bless you. But if you do,
Mm-hmm.
rename it in a way that
Right.
brings the joy, right?
Right.
That brings the juice to it. And so movement play is what I offered. And I love that you're talking about the playfulness, the gardening. And so I want to honor your time, and I want to just say, because I could spend hours with you. I
Me
would
too.
love,
Because I'm feeling it.
I'm feeling it. I want to talk about this thing on my finger. People might not
But
see. Oh yeah, I want to talk about this. This is Delilah's art right here. This is my wedding ring. And I will always remember when I reached out to Delilah I'd seen some of her jewelry. I was like, my husband and I resonated. So when we got engaged, I reached out to Delilah to make our wedding rings. And I do not do this often. I don't outsource. I'm very, very, very picky. But I felt a vibration of this woman. And I
oh.
reached out to her and I loved her jewelry. I remember a talk you sat with me and you asked me some questions to get to know me more and to figure out what we would want. And you said, you know what? I want to design a ring for you and your beloved where you can wear it in the garden. I'll never forget that
Mm-hmm.
because it touched me so deeply because my beloved, my husband and I, we've always loved planting together. Before we even had our beautiful
Oh.
home, we would do
Right.
gorilla planting. We'd be in
Mm-hmm.
Thailand and planting trees in the like just putting trees in the ground.
Ah.
And so when you said that, I said, yeah, this is the woman I want to make our wedding ring. And I'll tell you, 3 days ago, I was in my own garden picking
Oh.
okras, harvesting okras with this ring on. And so I don't want to end this conversation by talking about the power of art, the power of intentional art, the power of conscious
Oh.
creation. And that is what you are. And bringing your experience as an artist from New York, your Pratt education, but more than that, your spirit to your art, that helped us manifest us
Oh.
finding manifest finding and calling in our home where we can now plant our fruit trees and not have to do it
Oh,
guerrilla style. So this is the power of art and conscious creation and your heart. And so I want to say thank you, Delilah, on here. I want to say, I want to ask you if you're able to share with us now, what is the art that you're creating now? I hear it from the way you're speaking. I know you're guiding people in creating their best well-being and their best fitness. Can you talk a little bit about the art you're creating through that, or whatever else art you're doing, and where people can find more of that you are sharing
oh.
with the world?
Well, the art that I've been creating is the culinary skills with my sister, the one and only chef,
Yes.
and also the art of love.
Mm.
The art of love, using my body and my spirit as a vehicle. Because you know, like I know, that there's so much grabbing for your attention to conform. And sometimes I feel afraid because I'm like, with social media, I'm supposed to be doing this, I'm supposed to be doing that. But the art of intention, of just feeling whole. I think it comes back to the beginning again, to what we talked about, me feeling like I wanted community. But now I have my sister and I have love, because that's what I've always wanted. And I think the biggest artwork was me.
Hmm.
And I had so much on the outside. I was doing the jewelry and I'm still doing the jewelry, but I took all of that energy and I poured it into my soul, and I loved myself again.
Hmm.
And I started to come back to the child that I was, and I finally made peace with that girl that I blocked away. We had a reunion like 4 years ago, and we made peace with each other, and she forgave me. She forgave me. So life is art, art is life, and I feel complete. The circle is unbroken. We are one.
Salah. Yes. 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 I have no other words. There's nothing to add to that. Absolute medicine, absolute love. I feel it from you. People feel it from you. Thank you for your presence, for your being, not just your doing, but your being in this world, for choosing to come here at this time that's so needed, that vibration of love, of forgiveness, of joy that I feel from you. I will leave the links to all places people can meet you and connect with you. Do you want to say verbally any of them right now?
Yes, I am on Instagram at Delilah Raw Fit, and I'm on YouTube at Delilah Raw Fit. So all of the links, even with Facebook, Delilah Raw Fit. So everything is Delilah Raw Fit. But I just want to say I love you. I see the God in you. I see you. I see everything about you. And from the first time my sister introduced me to you, when I looked at your videos, I felt your soul. And I just want to say thank you for your essence, and all that you do in this world is appreciated.
I receive that, sister, and I thank you.
Thank
May
you.
something that has been shared here be of blessing to anyone who is hearing this right now. To know, as Delilah said so beautifully, you are never alone, that you are your art. Much love to you all.
Up to you.